oil spikes, shipping uncertainty, and a war that apparently is nearly over, but I don't think so. So if you're in supply chain right now, this isn't just about geopolitics. This is freight, it's your margins, your customers, and it is also your stress levels. So today, once again, Rakesh Vandapalli and I are going to talk about the latest news, and it is, of course, everything that's happening with Trump's latest speech, the supply chain woes, the war. Rakesh, welcome once again. And where are you?
Great, Stephen. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sitting right next to you this time because I'm in the other part of the world, in India, in Pune, where I got my office set up. So yeah, I'm here for another couple of weeks, and it's great to join you from here.
Fantastic. Well, your chair is just over there, but
yeah, I can
no
see. Yeah, next month. I'll be there later, end of next week. So yeah.
What's the mood in India with the war and the supply chain woes?
From a general day-to-day, there is definitely some sort of panic, but generally speaking, things are so busy and there's so much happening. I don't see any worry or anything happening at all. But also, as something I've sort of seen around now, the Prime Minister put a national relief scheme or something and they're calling it as a shock absorber for supply chain. So they released its scheme early March, which means, because I'm speaking to a lot of Aussies and I'm talking about the fuel price and everything, so there is no fuel price at all here at the minute hike. So it's still the same. So
really?
The government, the government somehow managed to keep exactly that. In saying that, there is a problem in the supply of gas, which is basically your cooking gas. But then even that, the government sort of controlled the commercial gas allocation. So there are some businesses being impacted, but from a day-to-day consumer or citizen level, reasonably okay. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. LPG is becoming a problem here. There's people, Bunnings have sold out of jerry cans because people are like stocking up on fuel for their cars. So a few things happening here. Certainly a lot of stress around petrol and fuel prices, and even more so diesel prices. That's the mood here. It's all about fuel.
Yes, you should be thankful someone motivated to get you a Tesla. So you should be thankful for someone.
Inspired me. I think you inspired me to get a Tesla. So it's in high demand now. Whichever is the longest journey gets the Tesla.
Yeah.
And we today, of course, was Trump's speech. We were all waiting for that to see if there was any news coming out of that. And I think the news coming out of that was there wasn't much news, right? So he spoke about an end to the war in 2 to 3 weeks, but no indication on how that would happen. So if that happens by negotiation, that's one thing. But if that happens by rolling in the troops or sending a lot more missiles over, that would cause a lot more problems. So I personally think that the uncertainty that these national addresses have, whether it's Albanese, whether it's Trump, if there's not enough information there, actually worry the population, the citizens of the country, more than reassures them. I'm sure they think it's reassuring them, but when there's a lack of information, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I agree. And I missed the Trump address this morning. So, and again, I wasn't having a lot of expectations about that. So, but I definitely watched the Australian Prime Minister's address, and not much hope at the minute. But probably for me was his closing comments around that we can coordinate the next steps together. I don't mind if you've got a senior management team and then as a leader, you're talking to them on this language, but talking to a nation that we can coordinate or we can plan next steps at a time or something. I don't know. I was like, oh, okay, that's not a great message, at least to close off with. So, but yeah,
one
anyway,
step at a time, right?
Yeah.
I think in reality, I mean, I hope that's not the way the government's looking at it, but I'm betting that they would have many scenarios mapped out with a plan to action each one, and that's probably what he should have said.
Yeah.
So tell me,
a better message. Yeah, sorry.
What is your outlook? What do you think is going to happen short term, long term? What would happen if this went on for months,
Yeah.
years? Anything could happen.
Yeah, and this goes back to almost during COVID times, where from a supply chain perspective, there is going to be a disruption. There was an estimate or future analyst around the expected disruption every other year. And as predicted, the disruption is definitely there, one way or the other. COVID, second COVID version 2, Suez Canal, the Red Sea attacks, or the security there, and the fuel price, or something in the middle. I missed. Anyway, regardless, the disruptions become the new normal since 6 years now. So I believe from a supply chain standpoint, it definitely did a lot of change, but also brought a lot of characters to individual, build more stronger characters in how you evolve and solve your business challenges. But from a long term, especially me sitting in India, I feel, yeah, it goes back to the saying, adversity is the terrible thing to waste. I feel Australia and India probably is a really good time, and also they're part of the Japan Supply Chain Resilience Program. I think there's 4 countries when this happened mid COVID or post COVID. So I don't know. I feel maybe Australia and India come together more closely now, especially in that supply chain resilience program, and actually establish more long-term relationships, integrate further supply chain tech-wise, and also there is two-way demand. India needs a lot of minerals, and from Australia, from energy and everything, and vice versa. Australia needs a lot of food supply in terms of grains, and there's a lot of other stuff that comes from India as well. So I feel it's a good time to, again, raise those discussions and make stronger connections, but I'm not in that space, so that's not my discussion.
Well, the pressure points are the same, right? Whether you're in India or Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very different countries. Australia, lots of imports, very sensitive to fuel, long transport distances. India, manufacturing hub, very much export driven. And I guess energy there would be related to how competitive it is in the market. So very different countries and very different economies, but both the pressure points are the same and affecting the countries in a similar way, I think.
Yes. And I went down to get a snack 4 days ago, just down the road. It's the one I think you enjoyed the most as well. Is the bread with the potato in the middle. So I had a few of those actually. So
comfort food.
Super comfort food.
You're looking quite healthy, mate. So
I actually put on some weight. So Gunn told me when I spoke to him as well.
Got to get into that gym, man.
I should probably after I come back. So the price of that snack, which is very little actually, it's almost 50 cents here locally. Not a fancy place, but it's the most fast-moving place, so it's always good to have it. So the price went up by 20%, and that little shop guy told me, "Hey, what happened?" And it's like, like with that, him understanding the economics of the geopolitical issues and everything, he said because of the Middle East conflict, because of the gas supply, he had to increase the price of that little snack. Which I thought to myself, in parallel, I'm actually having a lot of discussions with companies I work with in Australia as my consulting, and you're talking about increasing fuel surcharge and adding an extra cost to the customers and everything. And that just made me think, regardless of where you sit, we're so globalized as a world. Regardless of whatever happens, at one point, we're all impacted at an end consumer level. And that sort of reflected back, getting a snack versus me talking to customers in Australia, increasing the pricing and putting a surcharge on deliveries now. It's a.
But whether you're selling comfort food or you're in Australia, owner of a large transport company, I think one of the things that makes this easier for customers is, even though they know there's a war, they know that fuel prices are up, is to communicate regularly with them around this, and not just give them a shock price rise that they weren't expecting. If there's going to be a price rise, tell them it's coming, explain to them again why, and that communication can help so much.
So, and from at a ground level, from an Australian logistics point of view, some of the things I'm actually working on now is talking to some of the suppliers for my customers' behalf and working on some different Incoterms at a shipment level and trying to reduce all the air freights now because it's just not economical. And doing a lot more ocean with the longer delays because it's going to be an additional 2 or 3 weeks because again congestions in a lot of different ways. So yeah, there's a lot happening, and I'm personally not surprised because again going back to that message, there's going to be a disruption. If it's not this, there's going to be something else in another year. So we're kind of used to it. Not good, but that's the world we live in. So yeah.
We just got to improve our systems and be as resilient as we can. And supply chain. There's disruption is just part of the game, right?
Yeah, and another thing came to my mind was the regular phrase used a lot. Data is the new oil, and I'm like, no, data is data, oil is oil. We really
we know the difference now because we don't get a data surcharge, right?
Yeah. And I'm putting all these extra surcharge on this customer's invoices. I'm sure they can give a lot of data. Maybe we can trade off with you give me data, I'll give you some extra fuel surcharge or oil. But that doesn't work. So I'm like, data is data, oil is oil.
That's the Rakesh businessman coming out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So any final comments, Rakesh, on this?
Before final comments, but what's happening from your world? Because I've been away in Australia for three weeks now. Anything you're seeing on the ground or anything that you want to highlight here while we have the supply chain audience watching this at some point?
Look, I think it's a big disruption. I think nobody knows when it's going to end. So we hear Trump saying 2 to 3 weeks, but there's no strategy of how we're going to get there and no information. So it's the uncertainty. So electric car sales have gone through the roof.
Really? Okay.
I was working with one of my colleagues and he went into BYD, did a test drive and bought it on the same day. Undetermined delivery date. So there's such a big demand.
Wow.
So as you'd expect, right? So if this ends up going on for a long time, and an EV would be a very good purchase even at this point. So just uncertainty. We've got to roll with the punches. We're a long way from the conflict, a lot further away than India are, but of course very reliant on energy. What's your perspective, man?
That's great. Same here. We really don't know when this is going to end. And obviously, if you look at some previous wars that I started by United States, it's still going. It's been 2 years plus. So unfortunately, as sad as it is, at a human level, it makes me upset and feels unsettling, at least just to think about it. But that's the world we live in, I guess. So what's in my control and what my closing comments to audience watching this is, just to keep a real close eye on your business cost and make sure you do negotiate with your suppliers, not on the cost. Unfortunately, at this stage, it's about the predictability now. Can you actually get your shipments? The cheapest is not going to be always the best at this stage. It's the people who can rely to talk to them and who are ready to answer your phone and actually can help you transit through this journey, I guess. So that's definitely a real advice. From a nuts and bolts perspective, there's so many different ways you can look at it. Incoterms change your freight modes, charge your extra surcharge, unfortunately, to end customers, reduce deliveries. There's lots of different ways depending on the type of business, but I guess at a fundamental level, I would advise keep a very close connection with your stakeholders, especially in the logistics and the freight forwarding space. They're doing their best, I'm sure, and the closer you are connected with them, I guess it's probably the best way we can navigate this all together.
Support your local freight industry. Those trucking companies have very low margins as it is. screwing them down on price isn't going to help the industry. And I can see that if it goes on much longer, we're going to be seeing a lot of these companies going under, right? It's tough times, especially for a lot of the smaller family-owned companies.
Yeah, and my actually advice to end audience who got nothing to do with supply chain logistics. I don't know how this is going to land for some retail businesses, but reduce your online shopping. Just go to the store, go for a walk to Woolies and actually get your groceries. So it's good for your health because you did a walk, you carried some weights, so you don't have to carry kettlebells or whatever in the gym and then walk home. Reduce some of the stress the logistic companies are going through at the minute. Every delivery helps. So just try have a think a little bit before you place another click online order. And then
if you've got subscriptions of one bottle of shampoo every month landing at your doorstep, probably just put it on your shopping list and go for a walk. I like that idea.
Yes. So
great.
That's it. Until I see you next time.
I love those closing words, Rakesh. Good advice, and we get some exercise as well. So love it.
Yes. Awesome.
All right. Well, enjoy your time in India. I think you've got a couple of weeks left, and I look forward to seeing you when you get back, buddy.
Likewise, always my pleasure. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.